In this video, I'll be showing you how to use the conditioning template that I've developed for Kutztown University Strength Conditioning, how you can use that with the CSCCa and NSCA consensus guidelines for transition period. So the transition period, according to both groups, is defined as anything that's a 2+ week break. Anytime a new head coach comes in for that sport, anytime a new strength conditioning coach comes in, or a transition period is also going to be for transfer athletes and freshmen. And then lastly, a transition period, we'll use this template for any athletes that are coming back from rhabdomyolysis or exertional heat illness. So let's go through the template. What you will see over the 4-week period is a progression to get to 100% of total volume. So in this example, our total distance is going to be 20,000 yards per month, and then we'll have a breakdown over a 4-week period to get to 100%. Now, what the guidelines tell us is that transfer, or any of the athletes mentioned recently, so that's transfers, new head strength conditioning coaches, new head coaches, anybody coming back from a period of inactivity, they're not going to be at 100%, but we do have some numbers that we can go off of. And the recommendation is to work at 50% of capacity for week 1. We're going to work at 70% capacity week 2, 80 in week 3, and then in the final week, in the 4th week, we're going to work at 90%. The capacity number is whatever the coach has on file as an uppermost volume. So taking this example here for lacrosse, if I know in summer I programmed 20,000 yards, I'm going to put in total distance of 20,000 yards. And then in the new athlete sheet, the second sheet I have, it's going to work from 50% in week 1 up to 90% in week 4. Their total distance per month is not going to be 20,000 because, again, we're working at 50% in week 1 up to 90%. So we're going to be a little bit over 15,000, about 75% of the total volume, because we go from 50%, 70 in week 2, 80 in week 3, and then 90 in week 4. So if we look at a simple session, for example, for week 1, if we're going to do 3,000 yards of volume, I've made for week 1 through week 4, I've made the 2 days the same. You can also change these too. So in this example, a returner will do 1,500 yards of conditioning on Tuesdays, Thursdays. However, somebody that's coming back from inactivity, they'll do 750 on Tuesday and Thursday. And we're looking at the guidelines of 50% for week 1. Now, when we go back to week 2, 2,200 yards for the first person. Second person, who's going to be at 70% of that number, they're going to be at 1,540 for week 2. In week 3, you're going to see the numbers start to get a little closer together. So we're at 2,240 for our new athletes. And then for week 3, we're at 2,800. So just a little bit less than 400 as a difference. And then week 4, 3,500 for our athlete that has been present, knows what to do, has been keeping up with activity. And then 3,150 for our new athletes or anyone from inactivity. This template is automatic, so anything I do change on the front end for the majority of athletes, let's say we know that the volume of conditioning, the maximum is 15,000 yards a month. We'll change it here, and then we'll go across to the second sheet. It's at 15,000 already. Now their total volume for the month is 11,500 basically. So we can use this template for inactivity and any time athletes are coming back from an extended break, for example. Now, one thing to note that's not on this template is the recommendations from CSCCa and NSCA, where they talk about rest periods. So it's something I haven't addressed on this template, but to keep in mind that the rest periods during week 1 should be a 1-to-4 work to rest ratio. In week 2, they recommend a 1-to-3 rest ratio, and then week 3 and 4 we can start to match it by the sport. And then lastly, if you're in the preseason period and you need to get a fitness test in, the recommendation for new athletes, transfers, or basically any of those couple of groups that we mentioned at the start, is to do 50% of the fitness test with a 1-to-4 rest ratio. So, for example, if the fitness test for lacrosse is 4 300 yards, we're going to do 2 300 yards. So it'll do the first one, second one, and then that's it. Other athletes will do the third and fourth, and then we'll keep that work to rest ratio rather high. So it's a 1-to-4 for a fitness test during a preseason period coming back from inactivity. So hopefully these guidelines help you out. Again, this is available for download, so if you do find value from this, you can play around a little bit from there. Okay?